The way we remember our past is through language. The way we create possibility is through language. The way we create failures is through language. Because language and words are a part of our experiential system. And without that, we do not see this world. You know, sometimes we use a language for a goal, and deep inside, we don't get that feeling. And we work very, very, very hard for that goal. And at the end, we sometimes don't get that goal. Or these are those goals which we get at the end, but we still don't feel great about it. How do we feel empty even after getting the goal that we worked so hard for? And that is because we bypassed the language that creates the experience. The tools will fail, the skills will not.
Ooh.
And that is so deep. The tools will fail, the skills will not. So the more you practice the awareness, or the more you practice the present-centered approach, you won't need a tool, because if you're focused on the tool may not fit, because you may have a hammer and what you need over here is a plier. And then you're searching the plier, but maybe what you need is a screwdriver. But if you have the skill, you make the tools. The principles to survive on earth is stick to the basics. The basics will never fail you. And the basics are very simple. Get up in the morning, exercise, practice the prayer. We would call it today gratitude. The updation may be only changing the terms and the terminologies. Like flexibility becomes agility. Like a businessman will become an entrepreneur. The updation is in the vocabulary.
This is so smart. Yeah.
The updation is in the vocabulary, but the basics is eternal. The basics will never fail you. So if you ask me, well, the winter comes after summer. The wave will fall after it rises. I mean, you don't need a book for that. It's eternal knowledge. There is death after life. If you cry too much, you will laugh soon. So sometimes the client comes and says, I don't know. And maybe a good question at that point in time is, who would know? You know, it's forcing them to think. Or maybe you can ask them, if somebody knew, what would that be? Or find out who in this whole world knows it. Is it Obama? Is it Spider-Man? You know, it's pushing them to look at a polar opposite response, which is not a part of their standard coded responses. Let's say I want help and I reach out to you and say, will you help me? Or would you help me? And what changes just by changing the will to the would? Now, you may not be aware of it, but one of the two will sound better to you. And I'm not saying which one, because each of us will have a different representation of an inner world. Now, what's happening is the moment I use one of the language pattern, maybe you begin to see a different visual, a different auditory, a different feeling. And the moment I change that to another word, these visuals change, these auditory signs change. And that brings about a whole new representation of your definition of safety, your definition of comfort, your definition of something of that nature. Language elicits our modality. It happens so soon that sometimes